From Chicago to Boston, Midwest to the East Coast, and this island in the Caribbean known as Puerto Rico is why the bars are lethal. Got me going beast mode in this game called life. You better know some cheat codes. Il Divino's back, someone let the streets know. 6 shots for the folks and 5 shots for my peoples. I think it's high time we all have a sit down. Can we all agree the game is gone to shit now? Like the fall of Rome, the death of Romulus, history repeating itself if you know it's obvious. If you had your head inside of a book instead of binoculars, you'd be able to see without a pair of binoculars. Our tax dollars being spent towards the damn omnibus, but the rich stay rich, commoners remain commoners. The tentacles and everything like a damn octopus. Mass media, mass hysteria, how they control the populace. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed in God we trust. Yet everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed in God we trust. Yeah, everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk. Living in this shy, can't let them catch me snoozing. Dudes be shooting just for the amusement. I refuse to be a victim, never be a loser. When your city is a war zone, who gives a fuck about Putin? And there ain't nothing safe about the safety act. There's more safety in being strapped. They should choose, you shoot back. Those odds are better than getting caught laying on your back. Don't believe me, check the stats, I'm just bringing you the facts. With my hand on the Bible, I swear to rap the truth. My mighty God, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. My people perish for lack of knowledge. My knowledge I share with you. There's nothing we can't accomplish. One head ain't better than two. That's the purpose of a democratic republic. Discussion on every subject, in truth, logic, and reason, till we reach an agreement. A nation under God is how the states united. Got out of the picture, look how gradually we divided. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed in God we trust. Yet everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed in God we trust. Yeah, everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk.
Arrogance is the primary ingredient that will make you assume you can take action without God. Arrogance. That's actually what it is. You think you got this and you know more than God. That's why your drift turns into a twirl.
Thank God for this day. Hey, you're not promised tomorrow. Realize your life is borrowed, so say what you gotta say. Hey, get it all off your chest. Nothing more, nothing less. Isn't that what Twitter's for? Clout. And all these other platforms. Followers who has more. You have found your reward. Matter of fact, engage some more, and for sure you'll find yourself in these social media wars. Oh Lord, let's talk about it. You be about it, I be about it. So relying on social media, how would you be without it? Non-existent, your entire system would just be a flop. If y'all don't listen and got no vision, how could you reach the top? Twitter fingers like a ninja, stay masked, move fast, you would know who hit ya. Cut you and split ya, causing division, moving on in you like a temporal pincer. Trying to paint the perfect picture, write lyrics like the holy scriptures. Even profound, you're feeling me now. After hearing the sound, you're hearing me now. Coming for the facts, now lose track, got me think that this couldn't be more crazy. If I take it back to the very act, you would talk smack when you actually thought you played me. Tell me who's true, there's only a few. Keep me in tune while seeking the truth. Salute to the crew, I'm paying my dues. Be sure to give credit where credit is due. Thank God for this day. Hey, you're not promised tomorrow. Realize your life is borrowed, so say what you gotta say. Hey, get it all off your chest. Nothing more, nothing less. Isn't that what Twitter's for? Clout. And all these other platforms. Followers who has more. You have found your reward. Matter of fact, engage some more, and for sure you'll find yourself in these social media wars. Oh Lord.
Media is just like syphilis, wholesome wickedness, tearing folks down who bore witness to the passions of the movies that they love, to the director who rose up above the hatred, the jealousy of those who was friendly, who turned into some of the worst of our enemies. A disgrace when your smiles in our face, doing that for only the clout that you chase. It's too late. Fruit of your labor was laced with a poison that most of you clowns couldn't taste. We know who you are, so fake the funk if you want. Make all your videos, cause we know you're a chump. You try to divide, but we was wise to your lies. We testify that you were snakes in disguise. And don't depend on those little simps on your side. They only live off the drama you provide.
Thank God for this day. Hey, you're not promised tomorrow. Realize your life is borrowed, so say what you gotta say. Hey, get it all off your chest. Nothing more, nothing less. Isn't that what Twitter's for? Clout. In all these other platforms, followers who has more. You have found your reward. Matter of fact, engage some more, and for sure you'll find yourself in these social media wars. Who would've thought there'd ever be a Muslim-Christian connection? Welcome to America, the saint, the kingdom of heaven. Two brethren with reverence to the Most High, keeping them strengthened. Counting our blessings in a time where there's division and tension. From the streets to these tweets, the people keep on wildin'. Violence keeps on rising in every single environment. So I pray for God's love to pour out and assalamu alaikum. But take my kindness for weakness, then you're sadly mistaken. I'm just like David, fighting off wars, bears.
We going up, shit going down. We lighting them up, you best hit the ground. Shooting them up, one after round. When that blood in the air, you better not dare to come around town. Father, please forgive me, have mercy on my soul. Fools keep trying to test me and I will never fold. It's the way that Wendy raised me, the city of the gold. Load them up and let them go, load them up and let them go, load them up and let them fly.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. It's the Chop Shop. You already know what it is. It's your boy, Eldovino Vega. And you saw the name of the title. It is called Money Talks. Because money talks and bullshit walks. At least that's what they say. At least that's what they say. I can't say I 100% agree with it, but I know to a certain extent it is true. Money does talk. And the topics we're talking about today is that money talk. So obviously, if you are up to date with the latest in news, then you'll know what I'm referring to when I'm speaking on these topics. For now, though, go ahead and bring this song to a pause so that way you hear me more clearly. If you read the description, you know I want to just light touching on these things, just because I figured, these are recent topics, something to discuss. Let's bring clarity to the situation, Obviously, there's a lot of riffraff in the air, discussions being had online. And I just figured, you know what, let me talk about it a bit, but like base level, not going to get too deep, but deep enough to bring clarity at least to the situation where there might be, I guess, maybe confusion or misguided ideas of the whole matter. But so like I said, today's topic is money talks, money talks, money talks. So obviously, if you're paying attention to the news today, we had the latest SCOTUS ruling on the Trump tariffs, at least a portion of it, not the entirety of them. Again, I'm going to bring clarity to that. I want to discuss a little bit about the Warner Brothers purchase between, as of right now, Netflix still has the higher ground, but Paramount is still in the picture. They haven't gone anywhere, guys. So that's kind of interesting to talk about. Again, we're going to get into details about that. And then lastly, and, if there's time for anything else, but lastly, the Bears stadium talk. Will they still be the Chicago Bears in the next couple of years, or are we looking at a Bears that might potentially be, I guess, the Hammond Bears, the Indiana Bears? I don't know. But we'll get into details about that as well. And again, if there's time for other discussions, we'll dive into. But those are going to be my main topics for today. I might have someone hop on. We're still waiting to see. We got Prince in the chat. My brother. My boy. I was trying to say boy and brother at the same time. Bro, appreciate you hopping on, dog. Also, I'd be remiss to not mention this. R.I.P. Robert Duvall. I don't know if you guys are aware of the fact that he passed away as well, or even aware with who he is. I know my wife had no clue. There's certain people that don't know certain actors and by name, but if they see the face, they're like, oh, that's that guy. Then they'll know. But Robert Duvall, he was, I don't even want to say he was more recognizably known for, because that guy That guy did plenty of movies. But obviously my introduction to him would probably be actually my introduction to him as an actor was actually in the movie The Apostle. I remember watching that as a kid with my parents. No secret here. Obviously, your boy was raised in a very Christian-based household. So it was very much. I don't know. I guess that was one of those movies we were able to watch. I guess as a shorty. So I was very young when I watched that movie. That was my introduction to him. After that, I mean, the list is endless. Again, from The Godfather. Obviously, he's the consigliere, the consigliere, in the movie to The Godfather, somewhat of a stepbrother to Michael Corleone and Tommy and the other guys, whatever, Fredo. But so again, prominently known from the Godfather movie. A lot of probably you know him from Apocalypse Now. The Judge, I think, was a really good movie that he was in with actually Robert Downey Jr. For those who haven't seen that one, I recommend that. That's a really good movie as well as what's this guy's face? The actor who's the Kingpin from Daredevil. The name eludes me. But we got Pin in the comment section as well. Yo, appreciate you sliding through, brother. But all that to say, again, rest in peace, Robert Duvall. Again, you'll know him from all those movies that I mentioned. He's also in Four Christmases as well. I don't know if you guys remember that one with Vince Vaughn and I forget the blonde chick's name, but they go to their families 4 different Christmases in one day. Robert Duvall, I believe, is Vince Vaughn's his father in that movie. To Kill a Mockingbird, he's in that one. Days of Thunder. Let's see what else. Oh, Colors. How could we forget Colors? He was in Colors. Colors. He was one of the cops in that movie. Again, Gone in 60 Seconds. That's right. He was in that one as well. Yeah, that's right. He's in Jack Reacher. I totally forgot about Jack Reacher that he was in that one. Deep Impact, for those who remember that. I mean, look, again, this man's work, truly endless. He was in John Q as well. That's right. I'm just looking at the list now, and man, yeah, he was in a lot of movies. But again, rest in peace, Robert Duvall, man. Great actor. One of the very few, that we still have from that time period, and now gone as well. But man, I feel remiss to not have mentioned that again. Rest in peace, Robert Duvall. He's definitely was a legend in the game of the Hollywood apparatus, so to speak. So just wanted to mention that right quick. But anyways, without further ado, again, back to the topics at hand. Money talks. I'm gonna just go ahead and start with the Bears deal. For those who didn't catch it, actually, the homie Pin did touch on it on his channel on the Pin Zone. A little bit of it. Things kind of somewhat progressed since then, but for the most part, the status quo is still the same. Where pretty much, and actually, I shouldn't say the status quo is the same. The status quo somewhat changed, but I guess there are still similar factors here, though. Meaning, Chicago still ain't shit, lack for a better term. So I know you got, I'm sure you guys seen the video that went around with Mayor Johnson sharing how he feels about it. But it's like, talk is cheap, money talks. Saying talk is cheap, money talks, right? So, from what, let's see, let me bring it up right quick. So I was looking at it right quick, and what's going on with the deal. So as of right now, what it is this. And actually, let me do this before I forget, and so that way those who hop on know what we're talking about. So we're talking about, again, the Bears Stadium, Chicago versus Indiana. But really and truly, the sad story here is that, like I said, is Chicago ain't shit. Mayor Brandon, can talk, Johnson can talk all this like, oh, it's the Chicago Bears. It's the Chicago Bears. But dude, money talks, bullshit walks. Get that bullshit talking out of here. Talk money if we really about it. But he ain't. Unless it ain't money to fill up his own pockets and his constituents, it doesn't matter to him, right? That's why he'll keep taxing you guys and us Chicagoans up the wazoo with property taxes and everything else that's been raised. But yeah, when it comes to this Bears stadium, they ain't serious about it. That's just a fact. So the reality is, I put Chicago versus Indiana because nobody really knows Arlington Heights, but this is really where the battle stands at this point, right? If you ain't from Chicago, if you ain't from Illinois, you don't know, or you won't know what Arlington Heights or where it's at, and it's technically a Chicagoland suburb, a bit northwest from Chicago, the city of Chicago, and the Bears technically own property there for a stadium that they've had in mind for a while. Not even just a stadium, more than just that. They've had in mind for that area. But as me and Penn discussed last time, they're still waiting on pretty much the politicians of Illinois to come to the table with pretty much, I guess you could say, state support, financially and all that, right? I'm going to go ahead and read some of the just headlines around it, just talking points, so you can see where we're at with it. So it says, right now the Bears are still the Chicago Bears, but politically and logistically, the momentum has shifted to a two-horse race, as I mentioned just a few seconds ago, Arlington Heights versus Hammond, Indiana, with Chicago itself increasingly on the outside looking in. And that's Mayor Johnson for you. And the rest of us Chicagoans just kind of, I guess just here, witnessing the show. You got JB Pritzker, obviously, he's got to talk about it, whatever. He says it's unlikely in Chicago. He knows it's not happening in Chicago. The realistic options are for sure between Arlington Heights or Indiana, which I'll get into just a few more details into it. But that's really where the battle's at right now. If you go to the Bears site as well, the Bears website themselves say they have concluded the only viable city site. And this goes back to just Chicago being cheap. Chicago just not about that business, just not seeing the, I guess, the value of having a football team in the city. So, and a stadium for them to play with, right? Because this is what they said. They concluded that the only viable city site in Chicago was the museum campus, but rebuilding there wasn't financially feasible given the level of public money and state supports required. Which, again, money and state support they didn't have, hence in the city is not happening. But now, as far as Arlington Heights is concerned, right, as I said, the Bears still own the former Arlington International Racecourse site, about 326 acres, bought for just under $200 million, and have a full stadium plus mixed use vision there with more than $2 billion in private team money committed. Their plans tout 56,000 construction job years, more than 9,000 permanent jobs, and about $60 million a year in new tax revenue if they go with a fixed roof stadium and entertainment district in Arlington Heights. Illinois, however, has stalled on the border mega projects legislation the Bears want for infrastructure and financing help, which opened the door for Indiana to get aggressive, and they are getting aggressive. They are for sure getting aggressive, guys. We got the homies in the chat. You ain't sheesh. Yeah, exactly. But So now, Indiana, here we are. Indiana lawmakers just took a big step. The State House Ways and Means Committee unanimously approved a bill creating a Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority to finance, to build, and lease a Bears stadium aimed at a site near Wolf Lake in Hammond. Wolf Lake Memorial Park has been identified by Indiana officials and the Bears as the potential stadium site, about 16 miles from Soldier Field, closer to downtown than Arlington Heights, and still in the wider Chicagoland footprint, right? So this is a little bit of what me and Pin talked about last time, right? Like there are these quote unquote towns that exist in Indiana that somehow actually grid-wise, I guess you could say, flush in with the Chicagoland area, with the city itself. So it's a funny thing, you know what I'm saying? That it's Indiana, but it's people still kind of consider Chicago. It's like it's interwoven. You got your Hammond, you got your, East Chicago, all that, whatever. Again, it's called East Chicago, but it's in Indiana, so it's a weird thing. But anyways, Hammond for that matter, right? So it's still in the wider Chicagoland footprint. The Bears called the passage of SB 27 the most meaningful step forward yet in their stadium planning, and said they're committed to doing site-specific due diligence on a world-class stadium vision in Hammond. Again, aggressively making a step forward for this, okay? So again, same thing. Where we go. They're not serious here. We're still not. So forget Chicago, right? Again, you got Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. With whatever he's saying, I'm not even gonna bother what he's saying because it's so empty. It holds no weight, like most of the things he talks about, mostly. So I'm not even gonna bother with that. It really matters not. He's trying to make an argument there for Hammond and Arlington not being Chicago, and again, they're the Chicago Bears. It makes no difference, bro. You're not talking money, so shut the hell up. But Pritzker, for that matter, still same thing. And that's the Illinois governor. Plausible option is essentially Arlington Heights, while Etienne is now a live competitor, which he admits himself. He said the choice and this is again trying to make it seem like the choice isn't his, like it's like the onus isn't on the Illinois lawmakers and the politicians at hand, right? He said the choice to stay in Illinois versus cross the border is up to the Bears, which again, hogwash, just the normal usual thing he does, where trying to avoid having any kind of accountability. Now, Arlington Heights officials say they emphasize that Bears reps tell them the Indiana move doesn't mean a final decision and that discussions in Illinois continue. But they also warn Indiana's progress underscores the need for Illinois leadership to move on the funding bill. So, cat's out the bag, Pritzker. You're full of BS. It is on Illinois leadership to move on with the funding bill for the Arlington Heights deal to be more real than what it is at this moment, right? So what does it mean, bottom line? No relocation vote by NFL owners, which has to take place. No signed stadium deal, which has to take place. And no formal commitment yet. This is still leverage season, which, again, still in the open, still willing to discuss. Nothing set in stone. But again, from where it's standing, Indiana's taking the lead, I would say. In practical terms, Soldier Field after 2033 looks very unlikely, which is what we're saying now. The Bears' next home is most likely either, is what they say, a domed mixed-use complex at Arlington Heights if Illinois steps up on infrastructure and financing. Because if not, then it's a domed stadium near Wolf Lake in Hammond, Indiana. If Indiana closes quickly on the stadium authority and final agreement. Okay, so today's latest is that Indiana just jumped into the co-front runner status with a real legislative vehicle and the name site, while Chicago itself has mostly fallen out of the serious stadium conversation. Okay, guys. So again, sad story. Yeah, exactly. Penn says Illinois better stop getting in the way. Exactly. That's exactly right. So is part of this problem because land-wise there isn't a demographic location that makes sense for the new stadium. Not a team would pay on not team no team. I'm gonna assume is what he probably would pay 180 million a year in taxes. That's what's happening here with I'm assuming this is the response to Prince. Prince, Bears bought and own 365 acres of land already in Arlington Heights. So yeah, it's not about them. It's not about there not being a geographic location. There's technically is. That's Arlington Heights. But again, if I'm going to lightly echo the words of Brandon Johnson, is that it's not Chicago. So the reality is again, nothing in Chicago. That's just the reality here. Is like say goodbye to Soldier Field. Say goodbye to any potential in Chicago. Period. It's just too expensive, And again, when you look at the Bears website, the most ideal site that they had in the city was the museum campus, but it's just too expensive. That was the ideal site that they had in mind for it to stay in Chicago, but Chicago's playing games. They're not serious about it, and apparently, Sally said neither is Illinois up till now. But as Pin pointed out in the comment section, the Bears do own those acres of land in Arlington Heights. So that's the crazy part. So that would be interesting to see what happens with that. If for whatever reason, Indiana just steps there, puts their foot on the gas, and somehow now we're looking at the Indiana Bears or the Hammond Bears, or I don't know if the Bears organization wants to be cute, and if Indiana allows it, seeing that again, Hammond, even though it's in Indiana, is still part of the Chicagoland footprint. Maybe they're okay with the Bears still being Chicago Bears, but we won't know until we get there. If we get there, hopefully not. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's closer to downtown. It is closer to as I just read it to you. It is closer to the downtown Chicago area. Hammond is closer to the Chicago downtown area, but it's Indiana, so it's kind of a weird thing, Pinzone said, remember when they showed how it'll look in Chicago, they did the stadium but couldn't even fit it. Yeah. That was funny. The name won't change. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think it will, but at the same time, it's still Indiana, so who knows? We'll see. But if it won't change, if it doesn't change, cool, because it's still the Chicago Bears. That's what we know them as, And again, Hammond is part of the Chicagoland footprint, so wouldn't be crazy. We got Number Huang in the comment section. He says, "Yeah, my favorite time of the week, the Chop Shop Live. You already know it, brother. We're here live. I need to get you on the Chop Shop one of these days, brother. You got to let me know when you're available and free. We got to chop it up Star Wars, brother. There's some things to discuss there, especially with that Mandalorian Grogu movie coming up. So let me know." Hold on, boom. No, I jumped ahead a bit. Hold on. We got Prince Trucker said, "So why would the Bears buy the land and not intend to build the stadium there?" Money, again, money. They want the state to help with this financial bill to help build the infrastructure and the infrastructure in that area, and with the project, the overall project, and then help in the financing of it as well. That's what it is. It's still money. It's still, again, that's why money talks, bullshit walks. So if Illinois is serious about it, they really got to step it up. Number one says, I have a crazy take for the I'm going to assume you meant crazy. A crazy take for the GM of the Bears to move to Cicero. I know a spot. No cat. Really? You got to let me know what spot that is in Cicero, brother. And honestly, I would take Cicero over Arlington Heights, low key. Cicero's at least, even though it's Cicero, it's still definitely more Chicago than it is than Arlington Heights is. And we can even argue more Chicago than Hammond for that matter, I guess. So that wouldn't, you might be onto something. But Pinzo said because of the taxes that's what's holding all this back. Illinois wants them to pay $80 million in a year. The most taxed stadium in NFL is just over $8 million. So there you go. That's just nuts. Again, this is Illinois governance at its finest once again. But we are, I don't know, people vote the way they vote, and here we are. So anyways, again, that being said, guys, it's not looking good for Chicago as far as if you wanted it to be in Chicago. It's right now Arlington and Indiana, Hammond, I guess, to be more exact. And but Illinois lawmakers really gotta step up, man. Again, talk that money. Talking that crazy talk with what you're trying to charge. Let's see. Wow, curious to see what would occupy the 365 acres if they don't decide to move the team to Arlington. No, that same thing. That's what I was just wondering too. Right now, it's like it would be crazy if it turns out to be the Hammond situation. What happens with that? What would the Bears do with that? I mean, I don't know if they sell it, try and get the money back that they paid for it. Can they privatize the land and make their own thing there, and have another form of revenue? I don't know how that works. I don't know if since you're part of a certain type of organization that belongs to the overall NFL type thing, can you as a Bears, are you still allowed to do something with that property as an organization, or meaning does it have to be Bears oriented, or can you develop something completely just different like other businesses and stuff like that and just own the property and make money off of it? I don't know how that works. I'm actually curious to look into that to see what that's going to be. Let's see. Number one says the spot is the old racehorse track in between Cicero Avenue and Laramie. They can demolish it and build a brand new stadium. I got to look into that. How many acres is that? I mean, makes you wonder though if that was maybe it's because the one in Arlington closed first. I don't know. It's close to the I-290, I-55. I know which one you're talking about, actually. I know exactly which one you're talking about. That's crazy. I wonder if that was an option at one point, if they considered it. That's I mean, as of right now, they never looked into it, or said anything. So I assume they had knowledge of properties. So it would be interesting to know why they didn't look at that one. Is there a reason why? Pinzone said, which is why I think they will build in Arlington Heights. I mean, we'll see. Again, it all comes down to money. It all comes down to money. Close to Midway, so the teams fly in. Also, the Pink Line train and the Metro train is close by. No, that's true. That's true. Right, they'd sell it. Right, that's what I figured. Yeah, I figured they'd just sell that property. Don't nobody want to fly in Midway, cut. Hey, if you're trying to save some money, you're flying in through Midway. I'll tell you that much. You're trying to save money. You're trying to deal with a quicker in and out, not deal with that BS traffic you be dealing with in O'Hare. You you'll go to Midway. You'll go to Midway. And the Midway Monsters, right? The Midway Monsters, right? The Midway. So I don't know, man. You might be onto something, Juan. You might be onto something. I don't know. That's hilarious. Don't nobody want to fly Midway Cup. I mean, look, man. Again, money talks. That's what this is about. So, if Illinois is serious, they want us to stay in Arlington Heights. Talk money, but like not for your not money for you greedy for your greed, but money that you will actually have to help finance this. Man, I swear this state and city is so ass backwards with stuff sometimes. Juan says exactly everything is close by here. If they make a stadium in Cicero, lots of ways to get in and out. No, 100%. That would be an interesting and it kind of would be interesting because then you'd have 2 football stadiums in that area, if you get my drift, because you got the Chicago Fire Stadium for the other football, so that would be interesting. It would be interesting for that entire kind of area as a whole. That'd be a good look. I don't know. It's kind of interesting that they I don't know. If they do Cicero, I'll become a Seahawks fan. Damn. Oh man. Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. No, you know what? I'm gonna tell you why they probably didn't do it though, Quan, is because Cicero is just as corrupt as Chicago, bro. True shit. Golazo. Oh man, dude, Cicero is just as corrupt as Chicago, dog, when it comes to politics of things. So that's probably why it didn't happen. I imagine they'd be just as greedy, to be honest with you. So we'll see. I don't know. It is interesting. I will say none the least. But anyways, I mean, there's nothing much else to really say on that. It's just, again, Illinois got to step up. Indiana's coming hard with their offers and what they're willing to do. The moment that finalizes and materializes in Indiana, I mean, that's just further taking the Bears in that direction. So again, Illinois really has to step up with what they're trying to do. Juan says, "Man, F the corrupt El Divino Figure State Governor." Hey, I don't know if I'm the right guy for politics. Well, hey, what I'm saying? Maybe we'll leave that up for maybe I'll make a poll. You know what I'm saying? Should El Divino Vega run for politics in some capacity? Oh yeah. No, man. But anyways, that being said, I want to go ahead and jump into the next topic to keep things rolling. Again, money talks, bullshit walks. Next thing that I want to discuss is the Warner Brothers purchase, Netflix versus Paramount. Again, just interesting because just when you thought that it was a closed deal, Netflix got this in the bag, it's over, it's just a matter of the shareholders making that vote come March, we were going to just hear about whatever that transition was going to look like. Hold on. So just when you thought it was over, Paramount managing to stay relevant to the conversation, and not just because of the motion that they filed in the courts, which played in their favor. The first step of it has played in their favor, which I'm about to get into. But apparently Netflix allowed for a time period where Warner Brothers is now willing to still sit down with Paramount to see if they have a better offer here, right? And then, so I was just talking with the homie Pin about this. It's just crazy because when you consider the fact that we're still, it's just interesting how this is playing now, I guess I would say, because Warner Brothers is now willing to hear to see if Paramount has a better, stronger offer now, a final offer to offer. And Netflix is saying that if Paramount eventually like offers something more apparently that they're willing to also renegotiate their deal. But I'm gonna go ahead and read some of what I looked at here, and that way you guys can. This is me just kind of paraphrasing it, but so this is what's happening. Warner Brothers Discovery is still in play, and nothing has closed yet. But Netflix currently has the lead with a signed deal, which is what I just said. While Paramount Skydance is trying to top it, right? So this is where things stand. Warner Brothers Discovery has an agreed deal with Netflix to sell its studios, streaming, including HBO Max, and related assets for roughly low $80 billion range, from around $27 to $28 per share. And a shareholder vote is set for March 20th, as I just stated not too long ago, right? Or a couple seconds ago, right? So the shareholder vote is set for March 20th. Despite backing the Netflix deal publicly, Warner Brothers Discovery's board has reopened talks with Paramount Skydance and given them a 1-week waiver through about till February 23rd to deliver a best and final offer, right? So we're 3 days still to see what Paramount is going to do, right? So this is, as of right now, this is where Paramount Skydance bid stands until something else is offered, right? Paramount Skydance is pursuing a full takeover of all of Warner Brothers Discovery. So not just parts of it, but the entirety of it, which matters here. Because, again, what Netflix is essentially buying is just the Warner Brothers as part of it, a portion of it, while the Discovery portion, still yet to see what happens with that, I guess, which is like the cable and all that stuff. Where again, and this is why I thought personally Paramount Skydance was going to be the move, because I'm like, well, they're offering to buy the entirety of the thing. So if I'm the guy who owns everything, I'm like, man, I'd want to just clean my hands of this whole thing. But apparently, I don't know, other things are in mind. So again, Paramount Skydance is pursuing a full takeover, with indications of a potential offer of around or above $31 per share, which is again a little bit more, but this is what has them not in the deal yet, right? So let me just say that, right? This is the deal that has them not in the deal yet, right? So keep that in mind, right? With what I'm saying here. So $31 per share, because I know you might be thinking, well, that's technically more dollars per share than what Netflix is offering, right? And a total value north of 100 billion, substantially richer than Netflix partial acquisition. Actually, let's read that closely. Actually, so total value north of 100 billion, substantially richer. I'm trying to understand if that means, are they saying that it's $100 billion more richer than the 80 billion? So it's 180 billion that they're actually offering. Juan says, where would you like DC Warner Brothers to go? There's really no wrong answer here, in my opinion, and I'll get into that later, but I'm going to finish reading here. So Paramount has been sweetening its proposal with things like covering Warner Brothers Discovery's breakup fee to Netflix for about $2.8 billion. So again, it's not like, again, Paramount is trying hard to, they're really playing it. So it's not, it's I get that, there's this idea that they're not doing much, but they're still in the conversation. That's what matters here, right? It's not like it's like you can just dismiss them just because, nothing's happened yet. No, they're still in the conversation. That's what makes this important, right? So they're willing to pay for the breakup fee with Netflix, and adding a ticking free cash per quarter if closing drags, to make the package more attractive to Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders. So today, though, this is important. Paramount said that the initial U.S. antitrust waiting period for its roughly $78 billion cash component bid had expired, which is a procedural hurdle cleared, but not full Department of Justice approval or a green light to close. Okay, but nonetheless, there's something that happened and moved in their favor. Is my whole point. It's not the entirety, but it moved in that direction. Is my whole point. But again, however, the Department of Justice's review isn't finished. Okay, so let's just say that again. For anybody who said that there was nothing there, I'm not going to say who, but according to that, something enough for it to have been cleared, right? So now Paramount itself admits it still has no binding merger agreement with Warner Brothers Discovery. It needs to finalize terms with them, get both company shareholders' approvals, and clear regulators in multiple countries. So there's, again, a lot of moving parts, right? So now Netflix's position. Netflix has a signed, board-endorsed transaction with Warner Brothers Discovery, and still Warner Brothers Discovery preferred deal in official communications, as you know, as far as like what's been stated, right? Not the verbiage there hasn't changed. Okay. Netflix granted Warner Brothers Discovery the 7-day waiver to talk to Paramount, but has signaled it may counter if Paramount comes in with a higher final bid. So again, this is good news for Warner Brothers Discovery, essentially, because you know, again, what Netflix is saying there is, again, it's if Paramount does come with something that's higher that you guys are actually interested in, you know, we're willing to counter. So Warner Brothers is winning, essentially, no matter how this plays out. Netflix executives are publicly downplaying Paramount Skydance's antitrust milestone as routine. So they're trying to make it seem, that's routine, it's okay. But again, it's like, but if there's nothing there, then there's nothing there. So, and argue that Paramount is overstating how close it is to being able to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. So again, the war continues between these two guys. So what to watch for next? So February 23rd, expected end of Warner Brothers deal's waiver window to receive Paramount Skydance. So again, by February 23rd, we're going to see if Paramount comes with their best and strongest and final offer is pretty much what's happening there. But come February 26th, you have the quarter 4 2025 earnings call where they're expected to give some update on the bidding situation. So again, a lot more to be heard and seen and illuminated come that earnings call. And again, hopefully, I did reach out to one of my boys, guests on one of the guests I've had plenty of times on the channel, Sil, because he's definitely more in tune with these kind of conversations and stuff. I was trying to get him on today, but he was busy, so we're trying to see what day works so we can both discuss this. And then come March 20th is the shareholder vote, right, on the Netflix deal. So if Paramount launches or escalates a proxy fight, that date becomes the battleground over which deal, if any, wins. Okay. So in short, Netflix has the signed deal and a scheduled shareholder vote, while Paramount Skydance just cleared an early U.S. antitrust step. And it has one last week to convince Warner Brothers Discovery's board and shareholders with a richer, fully financed offer. So again, guys, between Netflix and Paramount, things are still interesting regarding Warner Brothers. And again, money talks, man. Money talks, right? If you're following any of the guys that like Sil, like that I mentioned a while ago, you tuned into his channel, and a few others too, like the Geeks Network. A few other guys are talking about this as well. I think I saw Skywalker talking about it, right? And the overall consensus is that if Paramount is really serious, they really have to. In fact, I think even I saw Snyder Queen talking about it, right? Is that Paramount has to offer something big here. If they really want Warner Brothers that bad, which they should want it that bad. Again, there's whoever acquires this, as I said before, whoever acquires Warner Brothers, you have a cachet of content beyond like recognition. Like, you'd be surprised to find out and know exactly all the intellectual properties that exist under the Warner Brothers umbrella. So whoever comes out on top here is winning big, period. You're not just because it's, and matter of fact, not even just the IPs. For Paramount, if they win, they're trying to get the whole thing. So they're even going to get the discovery aspect of it, right? The cable channels and all that. They're going to get the streaming. They're going to get the IPs. They're going to get the whatever whatever deals, contracts Warner Brother has with said theaters and things of that nature, distribution and all that. This is not what they acquired. And again, same thing with Netflix. They will be acquiring this, right? Which is why I was big on, like, if Netflix is serious, I just hope that they realize that they have no excuse now to not go straight to theater first. You know what I'm saying? With the biggest IPs that they're about to acquire. I don't want to hear no bullshit about it going to dual release, theater and streaming. Like, I don't want to hear none of that. Just give me theaters first. Give me theaters first. 45-day window, I guess, if that's what we're working at. If that's the norm, then so be it. But but if you have to prolong it because it's doing well in theaters, then do so. If you acquire Warner Brothers, you no longer have to be so hungry to have content on your platform, because you're going to have a plethora of it. I mean, a plethora of it. I mean, it's insane when you really think about it. Let's see. We got Juan in the comment section. He says, fact, it's a gold mine, just waiting for the miners to come mine. Exactly. No, that's what it is. It's a gold mine, dude. And the gold mine, Paramount needs to find their miners. Whoa, what are we talking about here? Are we going Epstein files with this? I don't know. No, but anyway, so yeah, it's again, whoever acquires this, man, it's you got a cache of just unlimited material, and again, as a fan of a lot of what Warner Brothers has under the umbrella, more importantly, things like, obviously DC related. This has to happen regardless. Like whoever purchases it, and you've been hearing me beat this drum for the longest now, and that's whoever purchases it, just please have the common sense to bring Zack Snyder back and finish, and if not, actually set that universe that was meant to be a thing finally. Because truthfully, what DC has dropped since his departure, and even what they're trying to do now with Gunn's universe, it's just not it. It's not it. I'm sorry. For those who love it, I mean, hey, cool, kudos to you. But I think we can all agree, like, we're kidding ourselves if we're gonna pretend like that it's anywhere on the level of like when DC was at its highest. You got a lot of weird cats out there that are making it seem like this is the best. DC has looked like it, which I just like. You're kidding yourself at this point if that's where you stand. But this needs to happen, right? Netflix or Paramount. It's hard to say who I want there, to be honest with you. It's part of me is like Paramount, but Netflix is cool too. I mean, look, I don't think you're going wrong either way. If I'm be honest, I don't think you're going wrong either way. Because the reality is either way, for me, the way what concerns me most is the Zack Snyder angle here. And if it's Netflix, well, he's got a good relationship with Netflix. If it's Paramount, he's got a good relationship with Paramount. What's obvious is that if you're following his tracks, this man is constantly like reminding us of his DC, from Man of Steel to BVS, Batman versus Superman, to Zack Snyder's Justice League. He's reminding us almost every day, to even Watchmen, that was some of the best DC we've gotten in a long time, right? So, yeah, again, I don't really care who it is, but if Paramount's serious, I hope they come with something serious. But again, I think this is good either way. Either way, it's good. I think though what I've said before is what I do like about the Paramount angle is that they have the experience of rolling things out into theater more than Netflix does. So that if they really need to, let's just say, come with an axe and clean up house, right? Because they're really not on board with whatever. Which honestly, I will say this: DeLuca and Abdi, like they're set. They're set. I'll say that. I can say that with confidence. They're set. I guess I'm more so thinking I can see Paramount being okay with getting rid of Gunn and Saffron if they have to. That's I guess where I'm standing with that. Where at Netflix, the idea is that they might just keep everybody on board from Warner Brothers and kind of just slowly roll things out and see how it goes. Simply because I guess they don't have the full expertise of owning what they're about to own if they do acquire Warner Brothers, right? So I would say I guess that's the caveat there when it comes to Paramount is like, well, they don't need to have anybody. You know, I mean, again, I don't want to see nobody lose their jobs, but there are a few people there that I'm okay if they lose their job. I'll just put it like that, right? All right, let's keep it moving forward. Let's keep it funky. Again, guys, if there's any thoughts you guys have, let me know in the comment section on that. I'm always down to go back to the prior talking point. But to, I guess, final talking point, and I'll leave it on this. This is the last thing I'll bring up. Just because, again, it's an interesting thing. I'm not going to get too deep into this one yet either because I'm going to get into the weeds a bit, but we're not going to go too deep. And this is a conversation I'm trying to save for the homie Sil. Because I want to say last time we talked tariff talk, I had him on here. We got an interesting conversation about it because again, people were wild and going crazy, and because the media would have you believe a certain type of thing about it. We were supposed to be in a recession by now, according to the economists of the time. It was supposed to be completely bad, and here we are, no recession. The reality is inflation is pretty low. I think it's at 2% right now. So that's been stagnant, which is a good thing. The only thing that we can argue, and again, this is why I said, for anybody who's been keeping up, I said the tariff thing right now is the most iffiest thing when it comes to the Trump administration's, I guess, policy so far, right? Because we have yet to see really how good it could be, right? Because the reality is there's a lot of factors that come even into the GDP growth of things. And right now, I think it's at 2.2% growth on GDP growth. So again, not really what we're looking for. If I'm correct, I think Scott Bessent said they were looking for a 3% growth. So they didn't meet the mark so far, at least in that year. So again, this is where it's like, well, we can blame that on the tariffs technically, right? If we're gonna keep it funky. But again, there's things to discuss here. But to get to the matter at hand, right? The SCOTUS tariff ruling. For those who aren't up to speed with things on that front, the ruling came earlier today. It was 6-3 with the judges that ruled against, I guess, actually, I'm going to clarify this right now. Okay. So what it was is that it's not like all of Trump's tariffs that he put in place or that the administration put in place as if they all got taken down. That's not what happened here. But it was more against, the ruling was more against, it was revolving around the fact whether or not he had what they were calling the International Emergency Economic Power Act. That's what the ruling was against, right? So meaning, because essentially when they first rolled out the tariffs, right, this what was equal tariffs against all countries that the administration deemed worthy, or according to what they were saying was in retro. So what I'm like, wow, retro against the. Man, no, it's not the word. I don't want to say like that. There's a certain word I'm looking for, and it's bothering me that I can't think of it. But the word is pretty much to counteract, I guess, what they deemed an imbalance in how tariffs were being done with countries to us or towards us. But then when you look deeper, the reality is it wasn't all just, not every country that got hit with tariffs had even tariffs against us. It was more about there being a trade deficiency from imports to exports, and they were meaning to uh, equalize the playing field with the tariffs rather than through, I guess, trade imports and exports. Again, this that's getting too deep into the weeds, but essentially it was that, right? That's what they ruled against. 6-3, meaning six judges were in favor of uh, bringing that to a halt, right? The International Emergency Economic Power Act. Um, but it was because what they felt was that he was exceeding the authority that Congress gave him in the statute, right? Um, so quick, just let's see, quick thing here. In a 6-3 decision, the court held that Trump's sweeping emergency tariffs under the IEPA, which I just mentioned what it is, exceeded the authority Congress gave him in the statute, right? Reciprocal. That's what it was, right? There you go. So it pretty much went against the reciprocal tariffs designed to match other countries' rates, and a 25% tariff on certain imports from Canada, Mexico, and China tied to fentanyl concerns, right? So it stopped that, which again, it sucks because certain things about that, obviously, you got to agree with, right? If you're the whole fentanyl thing now, but it's a strange thing. I'll put it like this. I understand that there's an importance to stopping the fentanyl, one manufacturer for that matter, and the import of it into our country. The question for sure is tariffs really the lever we're going to use there? Can it really properly work? According to President Trump in his hearing, or not in here, in his speech after the hearing, after the ruling. Apparently, he believes that it did play a part into the, I guess, 30% decrease of fentanyl that's coming into the country. But as he also stated, that could also just be a tighter lockdown on the border, which, if we're going to be honest, is probably more of that than it is the tariffs. And then again, going back to that whole to match other countries' rates, the sad part about that is not the sad part, but if we're going to being honest, the reality is not every country actually had not every country that was hit with a tariff had a rate of tariffs against us. It was more of a discrepancy or deficiency in the trade, in our trades with each other. That they were, I guess, they thought that the tariffs on our side, I guess, thought that the tariffs would create an equilibrium there or something. The justices said that the IEPA can't be read as a blank check to impose tariffs of any product at any rate for any amount of time, reinforcing that Congress must clearly authorize major economic moves. Which again this is why this was always tricky when it came to that, was because the reality is constitutionally, Article 1, the power of the purse belongs to Congress, right? Belongs to Congress, which the power of the purse, that includes the power of tariff. What's interesting about these tariffs, I'm going to tell you something interesting about this that I learned. But anyways, I'm going to finish that point though. So Article 1 of the Constitution specifically names the powers of the purse, right? It says that the Constitution includes the authority to tax, borrow money, regulate commerce, coin money, establish post offices, declare war, and raise armed forces, right? This is what it is. In the tax, spend, and commerce powers of Congress, okay? So essentially that's the ruling there, is what they're referring to when it comes to that part, is that Congress technically holds that, right? Holds the power to do that. It's not to say that there isn't power in the executive branch to tariff. It's just they have to find other means to do it. But essentially, what they were trying to accomplish has to be regulated or authorized by Congress. Again, even though Congress, this is where it was weird, because Congress apparently did authorize certain powers to the executive branch, which, to the president, to do the tariffs. But as I'm gonna see later, the problem was that it wasn't clear exactly how much power, what the exact power that was delegated, what it actually was, right? So, but now this is important. there are still tariffs that stand here, just so that it's clear, right? So this decision does not touch tariffs imposed under other laws, right? Such as Section 232, which is the national security tariffs, which was the steel, the aluminum, the auto tariffs, and some of the industrial goods, and the Section 301 tariffs of unfair trade practices, like many of China's duties, right? Which they're their situation, or our situation with China. I'm sorry, and their unfair trade practices, which I touched loosely on a bit when we were talking about the Venezuelan oil, right? That's just one facet of that. So again, those tariffs are still in place for anybody who's making this argument that I guess for certain Republicans that are booty hurt over this, making the argument that this isn't a good look towards China. It's like, this doesn't necessarily hurt the tariffs that were placed against China, at least not holistically. I would say that, and very little is what I'd say, if for that matter. But that means that the high sector specific tariffs, especially on metals and some manufactured goods, remain in place and continue to shape supply chains and prices. Okay, so now this is where things do get interesting, because it's like, okay, so obviously from the time period where this was enacted to now, money was garnered or gathered or given, right, through via tariffs. So the question is, what happens with this money? Does it stay in limbo? Is it, who gets this money? Does it go back? A lot of questions there that honestly they really didn't answer in this ruling. And I don't even think it was in their power to do so, or it wasn't part of the case study, I guess. So now here's some points that I see being made out there. These take with a grain of salt, because this isn't necessarily set in stone either. Okay, guys. But the ruling creates potential exposure for refunds on the struck down tariffs, with estimates running into the hundreds of billions of dollars in duties collected since these emergency measures began. So again, they're talking about refunds, but that really wasn't set in this case. So we don't know if that's actually happening. I've seen an argument being made that might happen in the lower courts with, I guess, maybe said companies or said whatever, like lawfare that might take place, but not that wasn't decided on the Supreme Court level. That's yet to be decided. It says companies that pay those tariffs. There's another point being made. Importers, manufacturers, retailers, and states that challenge the policy will now fight over how much money can actually be reclaimed and through what process. So again, there's no specific process, but this is process. They're saying this might be a thing that could happen. It's not set in stone. Legally, this is a major separation of powers precedent. Okay, yeah. So pretty much, like I said, this is where. Here's the thing, and this is why I said it was a weird case, not a weird case, but we have to be careful with certain optics when it comes to these things, right? Because you'll have these gun-ho Republicans state that they believe the president has this power to do that, right? Which personally, I wasn't sure if he did or not. And this is really what I was waiting for, because I was like, well, if there's anybody who's going to read between the lines on this, is going to be the Supreme Court judges. So if it's 6-3, here's the thing. There's actually something interesting about this too, though. So it was 6-3, 3 that dissented against the ruling. And they had some pretty good points, but not, interestingly enough, it was, they had good points, but a lot of their points still kind of circled around to actually agreeing with what the overall ruling was, right? They just have certain things that they think, I guess, allowed for it to be the case, right? Which again, one of the optics was due to the fact that Congress did appoint some kind of power to the executive branch regarding the tariffs. But interestingly enough, though, I don't want to misquote what this word is, but there was technically different things that were being discussed in this ruling, right? So it wasn't just, I mean, the overall ruling was the AIPA thing, but it was more than that actually being discussed, right? So another aspect of this was, what was it, the major questions, major questions, something like that. I forgot what it is. There's a word there. Uh, this is on me. I should have wrote this word down when I looked at this. But essentially, it was saying that what it is when there's too many uncertainties, when things aren't necessarily clear, for that reason, the executive branch can't just take power and hold over what they deem worthy, right? So interestingly enough, even those that dissented against the ruling, they were actually in favor of this idea that you have to that the executive branch doesn't have the power to just kind of like, if there's no clarity, then we can just take advantage of that. Where three of the ones that were in favor of this didn't fully agree with that notion. I'm not gonna get too deep into the weeds of that, but I'm gonna again, when I get back to the discussion with Sil, I'm gonna get deeper into what I'm talking about there, because that was interesting. But I'm just gonna stay on topic here and keep moving forward, right? So now, as I said, Trump did speak later, so within hours, right? Apparently, so he announced that there's a new flat 10% global tariff using a different legal basis. They did talk about that, but like we just said earlier, apparently they're looking into Section 122 of the 1974 Trade Act, which has tighter limits, as in caps of duration of how long they can implement it and the structure of it, and which differentiated from that International Emergency Economic something Act, whatever. He has also pointed to other authorities, as we mentioned earlier, the 232, 201, 301, and older tariff statutes as powerful alternatives. So markets now have to digest a shift from ad hoc emergency tariffs to a more legally constrained but aggressive toolkit. So, now the reason this kind of matters but at the same time, you could tell it didn't matter too much. It mattered in the sense that there was no move in the stock market. It didn't go up, it didn't go down, nothing crazily really happened there. Anybody's being honest. There's no actual moves that happened. But obviously the idea is, one of the talking points is that for businesses, big uncertainty over which specific tariff lines fall, whether and when refunds come, and how to price imports given a 80% global tariff layered on top of surviving sector tariffs that provides uncertainty. They're saying, for trade policy, it says Congress is now under pressure to clarify or rewrite the trade statutes presidents rely on, since the court just narrowed the broadcast one and signaled limits on unilateral tariff policy making. Again, that goes back to that whole, you got to be more clear on these things, as Congress. For presidential powers, as future presidents will find it harder to use national emergency framing as a catch-all justification, right? So, again, the reason that mattered is because if you're a Republican, maybe you're not even really considering what policy is being pushed forward, and maybe in your mind you think, well, hey, it's the guy we voted for. He said there's a national emergency, so let the man do his thing. And you're saying that now because it's the guy you voted for. But the moment that pendulum swings, and it's your people you didn't vote for and they're in office, you're gonna backtrack that statement, right? And this idea that the executive branch can just say that there's some form of emergency, and then because of said emergency that they can now implement set rules and set acts and set things in place, set policies. You don't want that. It's a good thing that the overall consensus of the Supreme Court held that at bay. Good job on the Supreme Court justices, for that matter, all around. Again, when you read all of them, it's a lot. again, that's why it's like I'm not trying to go through everything. I'll save that maybe for like a separate conversation to get deeper, where we can get it more deep into the weeds. I'll probably save that again for the conversation with Sil. But yeah, again, it's oh snap! I'm just realizing there's people in the comment section. Okay, well, number one says I ain't hear about this. Tell me more and explain it to me. What is it? Oh, okay. Well, now you know. Now you know, right? Because I just explained it. Um, but anyways, so yeah, all that to say that again, the way the ruling I think was the right ruling. Um, again, it's not that I'm not saying that I'm against tariffs in general or the what the president's been doing with the tariffs, using them as leverage tools. No, I think that's fine. But just because I think it's fine doesn't mean that it's also okay for you to just use this IEPA Act to uh, just push forward the agenda. Because again, it's okay for you now, but the moment it swings the other way around, you're gonna wish that wasn't the case. So that was, I think, the right ruling. Yeah, there just wasn't enough for me, even in the dissent's arguments. That again, some of them were decent points. They weren't, and again, a lot of them actually were in agreement with some things that were said by those who ruled in the side of the six judges. But it just wasn't enough for me to feel like that they were right and that the six were wrong. It was actually funny. It was like them explaining why they chose to be to dissent against the ruling in their arguments. It almost like it almost seems like you're actually like giving them the argument, right? So I thought that was kind of interesting. Again, I'll get into details in the next live. Again, I was trying to keep this one short. So there's definitely more to look into that. Still more to see. Like I said, as of right now, it isn't clear that the tariffs have been bad. It isn't clear that it's been good. There's arguments to be made whether or not, again, the GDP growth is where it's at because of the tariffs, and it should have been more. Again, GDP growth happened, but it's very slow growth compared to where they want it to be, right? So again, it's like, is that due to the tariffs? Possibly. Like, if we're gonna be honest, possibly. So, but like this idea that we can say for certain, oh, if the tariffs weren't in place, then GDP growth would have been higher for sure. We don't know that for certain, but I could see that being an argument being made there. Because then the other argument could be like, well, does that also have to do anything with the interest rate, right? Which the president has been trying to get the the word would leave me now. He's been trying to get them to lower the interest rate, right? Could that have anything to do with this, right? So again, there's possibilities here to discuss. I'm going to definitely look further into it and get more information so that way we can actually get into the weeds of those things and how that works, and how that looks going forward. Again, the GDP growth was a bit above 2%, so it's not the highest it's ever been. Should be higher. It needs to be higher. That was the goal. The goal was to be at least at 3% by the end of the year, if I remember correctly. Again, as far as inflation, it's currently running a little bit above 2%, which the Federal Reserve, there you go. He's been trying to get the Federal Reserve, the head of the Federal Reserve, to lower interest rates. But yeah, so it's a little bit above 2% is close to the Federal Reserve's goal, which I want to say I think their goal is actually 2% and under, somewhere between 1% and 2%, because you don't want to have no inflation, because that leads to, I believe, stagnation, I believe is the word, and you don't need that. So you don't want that. So, anyways, interesting stuff today, guys. Again, um, I thought it was just interesting to talk about these things, considering that, cream, cash rules everything around me, no, money talks is the whole point, right? So, um, I think that the reason this SCOTUS thing is important and tariffs in general, like what this really is going to look like going forward, is because this is really going to determine I think how the elections look going forward, right? And you know, here's the thing. Obviously, there's a lot going on, right? Like from the, obviously the Epstein file thing to the, um, to these, I guess the Minnesota situation with ICE and all that stuff, and there's a lot of things happening, right? But if there's one thing that I that I think people really care about most, and it's not to say that nothing else really matters, but the bottom line is money. Like people are just really concerned with taxes, how much money they're earning, how much money they're saving, 401ks. And the older you get, that's really what you realize is important, right? I mean, and I'm not saying personally for me that that's the most important thing. It is something of importance as a man who's trying to provide, a man who's trying to make way, a man who's trying to create, legacy and financial stability for my family and for, family to come, right? So that's why this is important, and I thought it was worth talking about as well, obviously. Um, and again, I'm going to definitely be keeping a closer eye on these things to see where this now goes going forward. What does this mean financially for you as the individual? Again, good things to look forward to at this moment with tax season coming up is still the no tax on tips and the no tax on overtime and how that's implemented, and how that'll benefit you with more money in your pocket come tax returns. So like I said, the reality is uh, there's a lot of things money wise that worth looking at as we move forward as far as uh, governing is concerned, and what happens with POTUS and SCOTUS and all that, whatever. Congress and Senate, in the Senate, all that, whatever. And here's the thing: make no mistake, the whole Venezuela thing, that's money. I believe if even when it comes to this whole Iran situation, money talks. So we'll see. You know what I'm saying? All that to say that even when you look at Iran, what's happening out there, like it's not, people I think I know that things are very convoluted. Is that what I'm looking for? When it comes to like news and world events, but the majority of what there's an outcry and in as much as there was in Venezuela, let's keep that clear, right? Why people actually were happy that Maduro was out is because he was running their economy to the ground. People were not making money. People were living broke and barely making by. Hence why you had such a crazy migration of immigrants, legal or not to get into the weeds of that, but you know what I'm saying? But it was because of that. Like if things were so hunky-dory over there and people loved him, they would have not came here, period. And then same thing that's happening in Iran. When you're looking at the protests that were happening in Iran and that technically still are, it's about the economy, their economy, and how their government is mishandling the money. So money talks, people. Money talks. So we'll see how this turns out here for the U.S. with this matter. But again, we're gonna see what really happens with the tariffs going forward, and what ramifications it has politically here in the United States and geopolitically around the world. So we'll see. And then obviously I'm definitely going to be keeping a close eye on that Warner Brothers deal. I got to see where they're going. I got to see if Paramount's real about this or not, and then, yeah, we'll do. And then obviously as a Chicagoan, this is the home of the Bears. So, we're going to keep an eye on that too, guys, and then plenty of other things to discuss as well. Again, if you haven't, go check out my boy Pin Zone, the Pin Zone, his YouTube channel. There's a lot going. As a matter of fact, actually, even check out my boy Number One. He's got a YouTube channel too. It's mostly gaming. Go check his channel out. Go check out Prince the Trucker's channel. He's got a channel as well. Go make sure you check that out. Matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I can find his. So it says at Number One through. I want to say that's his YouTube channel. I could be wrong. Juan, if you're still here, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, cool. But again, boom. As far as the Pin Zone, that's his YouTube channel. Check that out. And then I don't know if it's PVG. No, I think it's under. I saw it here earlier. Where'd it go? Boom. I want to say that's his YouTube channel right there. Prince the Trucker 222. So yeah, go check him out, man. And last week you saw that I promoted some of my music. By all means, still go check that out. Again, Il Divino Vega. The name is still the same. Boom, right there. And any streaming platform, music streaming platform that you listen to music on, you'll find me there. Apple, Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, iHeart, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Napster, wherever you listen to music, it's there. Okay. And again, I literally on YouTube put together a Valentine's Day playlist or relationship status type music, whatever, And there is more music to come, so stay posted on that. Again, it's been busy, a lot of work happening here, trying to figure out what we're doing here with the Chop Shop, keep this growing. And then again, music is definitely one of my, if not one of my biggest passions. So gonna get into that. I'll end it on this note, guys. Money talks, right? But the reality is that's a general term on the world stage. Really and truly, what I believe is God talks, right? I would encourage you guys to get right with God. If you're not right with him, accept the Lord Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. I will, as a believer, you can't serve two gods. You can't serve God and mammon being the god of money. Put God first. And I do believe he'll bless you, even in your finances, as well as everything else that's going on in your life, right? Seek ye the kingdom of heaven first, and everything will be added. So, I know we're here talking about money and all that stuff, and all this is great, but the reality is seek ye the kingdom of heaven first, and everything else will be added. And appreciate you, brother. Thank you for stopping by and hopping on, brother. But that being said, guys, God bless. I guess I'll pray real quick and say, Lord, for those who tuned in and those that watched, I pray that you bless them in the mighty name of Jesus. I pray that you restore them. I declare restoration. I declare healing. I declare liberation in the mighty name of Jesus. I pray that you heal them in their mind, in their body, and in their spirits, and in their hearts, spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally, Lord. All the things that we're dealing with in life, Lord. I pray that you lead and guide those, guide everyone through whatever situation they may be dealing with, Lord, that they need your help in. I pray that you give them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I pray that you give them love, peace, and your love, your peace, and your joy, Lord, and your truth, Lord God. And I pray, Lord God, that as we draw closer to each other, that we draw closer to you, Lord God. I pray for my city. I pray for my state, and I pray for this nation. I pray for all the churches in it. I pray, Lord God, that you just do a wonderful work in everyone's life. Again, especially for those tuned in, Lord, I thank you for them. And I thank you for the life that you've given us and this opportunity you've given us to have life, Lord. And I just pray that as we live this life that you've given us, that we live it abundantly in your truth and in your love and in your grace, and that you bless us, Lord God, in our health and in our wealth and in our love and everything in between, Lord. In the mighty name of Jesus, I pray. Amen and amen. Again, thank you guys. God bless. We're out of here. This is the Chop Shop. This is El Divino Vega.
I want you to stand up tall and proud. I want you to speak up clear and loud. Brown baby.
Pensando cómo lo puedo lograr, en cómo lo puedo hacer, cómo cuido a mi mamá y también a mi bebé. Solo tengo que josear y eso ya me lo sé. Hay días que despierto sin ánimo, pero me tengo que motivar, que nadie te va a ayudar, que no lo voy a lograr. Eso dicen los demás, para que carajo los demás, que aquí pues se les va a enseñar. Aquí les caigo y les traigo un talento que lo dejan bien pálidos. Se sorprendieron, algunos dijeron que estos son para los que sí tienen talento. De verdad, se jodió todo porque yo nunca voy a parar de josear. Ya, pero un día, ojalá yo con ganar doble A. Dile a Mike Taver que me tire para hacer un collab. Sin pijama, Nati, que me invite a la casa. Ojalá, ojalá. Ja, ja. Te era algo para sentirme fiebre. El meme. Ahora dejo que el Divino Vega que lo parta. Vega.
From the past to the present to the future, been fucking the game up, different angles, Kama Sutra. From handguns to machine guns, flamethrowers to bazookas, goes down in these streets to inside your computer. Your streets made of tears, Reese's fans like Medusa. Y'all crying in the comment section, shout out Brett Cooper. We're champions, you're cheaters, we're winners, you're losers. When I take off, I'm gone, if you don't keep up, I'll lose ya. I've been contemplating and changing my name to Il Divino. What is that? Italiano, Latino, Boston born, Chicago raised. My roots are in Puerto Rico, y la Boricua, and I'm the last cacique de los Taínos. I've descended from Rex to Regal. Say it's my ego, see how fast you get introduced to my desert eagle. See, nice as Galito, but I know my rights, I'm keeping it legal. Once you level up, gotta watch how they treat you. Fauci, ouchie, I'm afraid of no needle, but don't lie, if you a man of the people. See, I can allow you to see me, but I am not see the transparent and honest for you to know that I speak truth, while others be deceitful. A bunch of these clucks now remind me of Smeagol. Whenever your vice can lead you to evil, no cap, I am no saint, but I will not deceive you, never mislead you. Don't ever get it twisted though, I do not need you. See, like Batman, I work best alone. I stayed loaded like Rambo, Sylvester Stallone. It's nothing when I'm gone, man, easy phone home. It's just like Jay-Z and Kanye, return to the throne. It's the rise of the empire, attacking the clones. While everyone's sheep now, I am the goal. I believe in myself now, if nobody won't. There's no need to lie, cause I know that you don't. I just hope you got my rise of the empire, attack of the clones line. You know, as the empire rises, we're witnessing the fall of the republic. Everybody that just follows suit is a bunch of sheep, just like the clones doing what they told. Just know who Palpatine is though, you know? Shout out Joey B. From Chicago to Boston, Midwest to the East Coast, and it's island in the Caribbean known as Puerto Rico. Is why the bars are lethal. Got me going beast mode in this game called life. You better know some cheat codes. Il Divino's back, someone let the streets know. 6 shots for the folks and 5 shots for my peoples. I think it's high time we all have a sit down. Can we all agree the game is gone to shit now? Like the fall of Rome, the death of Romulus, history repeating itself if you know it's obvious. If you had your head inside of a book instead of binoculars, you'd be able to see without a pair of binoculars. Our tax dollars being spent towards the damn omnibus, where the rich stay rich, commoners remain commoners. The tentacles and everything like a damn octopus. Mass media, mass hysteria, how they control the populace. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed in God we trust. Yet everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed in God we trust. Yeah, everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk. Living in this shy, can't let them catch me snoozing. Dudes be shooting just for the amusement. I refuse to be a victim, never be a loose end. When your city is a war zone, who gives a fuck about Putin? And there ain't nothing safe about the Safety Act. There's more safety in being strapped. They should choose you, shoot back. Those odds are better than getting caught laying on your back. Don't believe me, check the stats. I'm just bringing you the facts. With my hand on the Bible, I swear to rap the truth. My mighty God, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. My people perish for lack of knowledge. My knowledge I share with you. There's nothing we can't accomplish. One head ain't better than two. That's the purpose of a democratic republic. Discussion on every subject. In truth, logic, and reason. Till we reach an agreement. A nation under God is how the states united. Got out of the picture, look how gradually we divided. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed. In God we trust. Yet everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed. In God we trust. Yet everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk.
Arrogance is the primary ingredient that will make you assume you can take action without God. Arrogance. That's actually what it is. You think you got this, and you